Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dragon Quest Slime Time, a Dragon's Den podcast. This is one of your hosts, Pendy.
And this is the delightful, the dangerous, and the downright delicious Dwaine.
And this is just plain old Platty.
We had a wonderful present during the last Nintendo Direct. It was a new trailer for Dragon Quest III 2D HD Remake.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold up there, Pendy. You've got it backwards just a little bit. It's Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake.
Oh, God, I always get this confused with this stupid name. Okay, I think that's what I said, though. It's Dragon Warrior HD 3D Remake.
Whoa. You know, as much as I would love to go back there, we are not in the NES phase anymore, buddy. Dragon Quest 2D. It's 2D, not 3D.
But I said that. Final Quest R2D2 D-Make. No. Dragon Quest Fantasy 69.
Yeah.
My.
Nice.
Wait. No. Square Enix C3PO delocalized. Slime Time R squared. Zoma versus Capcom. The new age of 420.
Oh, man. I think you need to go lie down. Take a rest for a minute. Poor fellow's got all his wires crossed or something.
Oh, boy. While we're waiting on Pendy to recover, I'll let our audience know this episode is all about Dragon Quest III HD 2D, plus a little extra. And a new trailer was released just this week. And we also saw some gameplay impressions from other gaming sites.
And we are pleased to welcome our guest, Yangus, a little bit later, and Drippy Slimestar, who's here with us right now.
Hello.
Hey, Drippy.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So first, we will start off with our initial impressions of the new trailer that was released during the last Nintendo Direct. We know now the game that I will not try to pronounce will drop 14 November. And we also got the surprise that there is going to be Dragon Quest 1 and 2 that will be dropping here and all around the world in 2025. I remember, so I was watching the Nintendo Direct because everyone was convinced based off that leaker that, hey, it's going to be announced during this Direct, and they're going to show that it's not just 3, but 1 and 2 as well, so on and so forth. So I was like, oh, fine, I'll check out this Direct and see what happens, if anything. It was actually a pretty big Direct. It had some cool games that they announced, like the Marvel vs. Capcom package and new Zelda and all sorts of stuff.
And that's going to take you for a ride.
Right? That was so funny that they showed one of the features is like, hey, you can see all the music separately for the games, and they went right to that track, of course.
Straight up trolling. I love it.
I know. But yeah, I was watching the Direct, and then I see this kind of artsy, like hieroglyphic, almost like images that start coming on the screen, and one looks like an awful lot like Ramia. That's not what I think it is it? And it was Dragon Quest 3, and then we got the trailer, and it was amazing. I loved everything about the trailer. You got the music, you got to find out that it was recorded by the Tokyo Orchestral Symphony or whatever they're called. That's going to be.
We've had that for a few openings now, haven't we? Yeah.
But yeah, and they had all the different scenes of everything that was going on in that trailer, and it just looked absolutely amazing. And then, like at the very end of it, you see this gorgeous artwork of the Dragon Quest 3 hero looking out on a cliff, and I was like, wow, that looks really good. And then they push back, and then you see the heroes for 1, and you see the heroes for 2, and that's when they announce, hey, we're also going to do 1 and 2, surprise, and it's going to be a package together, and it's coming out in 2025. So that was amazing. That was a big bomb to reveal during that trailer. That was great. Really loved it. What about you, Platty?
All right. So I'll you know what? I'm usually the one with the stamp. It's not coming. It's not happening. Whatever. This is year 3 in a row that we've gotten an announcement at the June Direct. I was 100% sure it was coming. I've been 100% sure for like years now that we're getting all 3. Ever since the was it 3 years ago when Yuji Horii got the whistle blown on him for saying that he would like to do all 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I've said my theory on Slime Time and Side Quest half a dozen times. Not a month after he got whistled down for saying that, suddenly Square Enix is releasing 6 Final Fantasy games, pixel remasters, and I'm like, you know what, man, if Horii did not go straight up to Square Enix later that day, be like, are you kidding me? You greenlit 6 of them?
Mm-hmm.
Give me the other 2. We're going to do 90% of the assets for 3. Just let me do the other 2 as well. And the fact that, you know, they did it for the Wii, they did it for the Game Boy Color, they did it for Super Nintendo. I mean, has 3 ever been remade without 1 and 2 on the same system?
No. And I mean, if they've got the engine built, if they've got most of the assets, it's going to make money. Might as well.
Yeah, I was going to gonna say, if you're doing 3, if they do it, I mean, I'm sure they're glowing up Alfgard, then you've got pretty much everything for 1 right there. So might as well go for it. Got to do a little bit more for 2, but hey. So no, Pendy, I was the same thing with that. The graphics at the beginning of the trailer. We're up here in North Carolina, and my wife and I were about to head off to Asheville for a couple kid-free days up there. But I was like, oh, 10 a.m. perfect. Sit down, kids. We're gonna watch this direct. And the first couple things came on. I was like, oh, that's cool. Look at that, Mario and Luigi RPG again, and whatever. And I see those like hieroglyphic things coming up, and I just turned and started talking to my wife, and one of my sons like started tapping me, like, Daddy, turn back. And I was like, there it is, finally. And at the end, when they were showing as you said, right before they pulled back, I kept telling my kids, I'm like, it's not over. Wait, they're gonna show it. And then it pulled back. I was like, I knew it. Forget you, fake leaker. Yuji Horii told me, and I totally believed him all those years ago. But no, the 2D HD style has really blown up this decade. Octopath games have all looked amazing. All the other games they've done in that engine have looked good. I'm really excited. I haven't played Dragon Quest III much in ages. I mean, I guess I did the mobile version back when we had all the the Lightspeed contests for that on the Den that we were running. I remember beating it then, but I think at that point I just kind of went through it and whatever. Even the Game Boy Color version 23 years ago was probably the last time I put a lot of brain power into playing Dragon Quest 3, so this will be fun. Don't have a lot of solid memories of the story beats. I mean, I remember the big bosses along the way, the boss troll, Orochi, and everything. That trailer was just beautiful. Didn't jog a lot of memories of like overworld places or everything, but I've gone back and I've watched I don't know. I know we're going to talk later about other gaming sites that got to do the hands-on, but I didn't really see anything except for the Square Enix stuff in there. They must have just had a press kit that wasn't their playthrough they were showing.
They did.
Did they?
Yeah. They gave out press assets to.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah. It's just a press asset, because I was watching like a 7-minute video and I'm like, that's just the same 2-minute stuff looped 3 times.
Oh, it is. Yeah, they all got.
Oh, yeah.
They all got we'll go into it later when we go over the review videos. But yeah, they all got the same B-roll.
So, but I'm just excited to experience it again. One, I've been, Dragon Quest Plus we played last year for the podcast. But 2, again, I haven't played in a long time. So the next year, whenever these other ones come out in 2015, hopefully not, too late. But by the time we get to November, I think they'll all 3 come out in a calendar year. I can't imagine them stretching 1 and 2 out till like November of 2015.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Yeah, and I think they say it's 2025, but I feel like, they could turn around in
2025, yeah.
Yeah, like February, maybe, like February, March.
I would hope maybe, DQ Day, that'd be a great time.
Right.
Get 6 months to breathe and get them out. Oh, and there you go. I hear a Yangus. Core Blimey. Hello.
Welcome. Yeah. Oh, you mentioned the Mario and Luigi RPG. I was shocked to see that too. That was like such a interesting direct of a lot of big games at least stuff that I'm interested in that came out during that direct. I was amazed.
That looked extremely nice. Very, very creative. Lots of cool animations. Just the type of level of animation you usually don't see in a Mario game like this. I like how they combined and made a little UFO. Really, really awesome art direction. Really boring font. Nintendo, stop that. I'm a graphic artist, graphic designer. If you have like a really awesome art style, you need a proper font to match. No more of this boring sans serif. Come on.
So Drippy, what was your impression of the trailer? How did it come about for you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like it had to be shown after Dragon Quest A, because all they put out was basically that splash screen saying, oh, like I don't even remember what it was, the legend begins or something like that. And I was like, okay, so Nintendo said that there was a June direct. I was like, it can't be that long. So, but it was funny during the direct, everybody always says, oh yeah, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess, this is the direct that they show up. And so I was looking at that mural and I was kind of like, that looks like Wind Waker style, okay. But then I saw, Ramia and the bird, and it's nice when you work from home and nobody's home, because I just let out a big fuck yeah, and I had like a huge smile on my face. Rest of the trailer, like they're playing, Into the Legend or whatever the whole time. I'm pumped up and I was just so happy. I've seen it said where the initial reveal must have been extremely early in development, like an alpha, because it just the scope of like the world, and how much better that looks. One of the things that really stuck out to me was the town. So initially, the Alihan was like just a castle, but now it's like a miniature scale version of the town, which is just like super cool. So yeah, I mean, just everything, the battle screens look better, overworld looks better. better and stuff like that. There's glimpses of new story stuff and stuff like that. It looks like some flashbacks or whatever. I just think it was a really well put together trailer. I was playing 3 recently, so I definitely am not gonna continue on the Game Boy Color. Not gonna go back there. And then I played 1 earlier this year. I hadn't played 2 in years, so I'm excited to see the trailers there. And it was a good point where for 3 you're basically you are making the world the first game, so you've got that all done. So hopefully that does give them that quick turnaround time specifically for 1, and then we'll figure out 2 afterwards.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that world, how they replicate that world in 1 and 2, like you said, being established in 3, the way that they're doing it. Dwaine, what did you think of the trailer? How did you come about it?
So what I do, I'm an artist, and in the mornings I do all my timely stuff, and I send all that off. And while I'm waiting for the emails to stack up, I take a mid-morning break, and when I'm doing this, I go to a local restaurant and I work on my book, which I'm 20 pages from being done. Like, yes. So I set up my phone against the salt and pepper shakers. I put my headphones in, watched the direct. So it was kind of funny. I had a feeling that an announcement was happening, because they threw that little quick thing, The Legend Begins, on Dragon Quest Day, which seemed like damage control to me. It's just like people expected something, so let's make something like really quick and boast it. But as soon as I saw the twins, I thought, oh, there it is, because they're kind of the elf style that Dragon Quest has been using in the past few years, and they're the twins from Liam Land. And then I saw Imperia / Ramia. I was like, okay, oh, nice. And so I was pretty happy with what I saw. With it being a remake, I initially thought that it was just going to be one of those graphical upgrades. Everyone has a fun time, not much to it, and have it usually at a lower retail price, like $30. But with the environments from the original trailer that they showcased, just like it was definitely kind of that smaller scale, but they really built out the towns quite a bit. Whereas if you go back and look at the old trailer, the walk up to the castle, Elihan is much more built out, and they lowered the camera too, which I'm kind of back and forth on, because that original trailer, I really like how that overworld looked, and I liked how when it transferred into night, all the lights came on in the tower and in the castle too. There is supposed to be a zoom function, so I'm hoping you can zoom out and still get that. But also it was nice to see them just kind of like roaming around the world, and it was good to see some of the original areas and how they differed, like the little path to Romilly. So that was really fun. It was cool to see some of the new areas, and I'm like, okay, is that a new place, or is that just kind of a redesigned part? Because if you see in the promo footage, everybody's walking around this town, and it's kind of up on rocks, and there's like ocean water beneath it. I'm thinking like, well, is that Reeve, or is that someplace new? And the place with the giant knight statues that you're walking under, that was really cool. But yeah, it's funny because like I was going back and I was looking at both trailers. There are a lot of color choices in the original trailer. I think some of the color palettes are a little more brighter, and where it has a little kind of bit more muted color palette. And I've never played an HD 2D game before, so I'm gonna be looking forward to playing it eventually. And I know it's part of the style, but given an art guy, given that I'm an art guy, when I see pixels zoom in on and there's kind of like the blurriness, it makes my eye twitch a little bit. But I know it's the style, so I have to just kind of like know that this is on purpose. And also the little frame skip in the animations, because even with the Super Famicom Dragon Quest 3, those were extremely smooth and fluent animations, especially for its time in the system. So that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. But when they announced the title and showed the artwork, they hung on to that last keyframe a little long. And once they did that, I was like, okay, they're going to do 1 and 2. And of course, there it was.
Yeah, that was amazing. And the music kicks in, and then boom, and there it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's like I knew it. But one thing with the directs, I miss Reggie. He was a great host. He was a great PR guy. And like, why have a host for these things when all they say is that was a trailer for an upcoming game you just watched. We hope you enjoy it. Now watch this other trailer for a game that's coming soon. Like, could you guys stop, please?
We hope you enjoyed that. What do you think? Like,
yeah, it's just like he cares.
I haven't played any of the HD 2D games either, but I know someone who has, and that would be Yangus. What did you think of the trailer?
Yeah, so this is actually one of the few times I was actually able to watch Nintendo Direct live, because usually at work or something else comes up, so I can never watch these things live, and I have to like get updates as I can or watch what little bits and portions I can and totally be distracted when I shouldn't be. So watching this Direct, there was a lot of really good build up before we got to Dragon Quest being revealed. Like we had the Mario and Luigi series coming back. We had a bunch of others. I mean, I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but we had a lot of really good momentum building up to that. Eventually then when the trailer for Dragon Quest III HD started, it shows the mural and it showed the twins. Now, I at first actually thought that it was going to be some sort of like HD port of The Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds, because at first I'm like, oh, this is supposed to be Zelda on the left and Hilda on the right, Hilda being the low rule version of Zelda from that game. And with them having upported Luigi's Mansion 2 to the Switch, that's coming out so that later this month or early next month, I forget when. But when I saw that, I'm like, oh, Legend of Zelda, okay. And it's like, oh, it's supposed to be the Zelda announcement. That's like, oh, it's the Zelda announcement. Everybody's been waiting. This is everybody's gonna be mad because it's not Zelda, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess HD ports, whatever. Well, then it cuts to the next screen, and I noticed a very familiar bird, and I'm like, oh, it's Dragon Quest 3. Sure enough, Into the Legend kicks in, and we get to finally see what the game looks like now with its updated look after these 3 years of development or so, since the last time we saw a trailer. It was really cool watching it, very exciting. I loved how all of the character sprites looked. I love how all the job classes were designed. It's cool that instead of making them like I know some people like the littler style that they had for like the older trailer, but I liked how now they look like kind of like not adults, but they're taller, a little skinnier a little bit, but it was cool seeing like how detailed they were. And like I loved how the little jester / clown goof off, he had his little cane. Like I loved all the little details on the sprites and everything, and seeing all of the locations was really cool too, because like when watching that trailer, I rewatched it a few times, but when first watching it, I'm like, oh, it's that town. That's the one where all the people talk so highly about Ortega up in the north, because you had the little detail of now there's a bunch of snow that's also like falling down from the sky, laying around on the ground too. And it gave me the impression like, oh, this must be the town where Ortega stopped at one point. He left his helmet for that child. And they're like, oh, Ortega, we love Ortega. He was great. We loved having him here in the village. And it was just really cool seeing all of the areas, because there were a few that I was like, oh, this must be, this town, or this must be Ramali, this must be the desert town. And then there were a few where I was like, I wonder what that is supposed to be. But it was really cool. Like I got a really strong impression, and from having played a lot of the other HD 2D games, and from just having played the Live Alive remake from 2 years ago at this point, they did a really good job with making this HD 2D version of the game and bring it for a modern audience. And from what I saw of Dragon Quest 3 from the trailer and from some of the other images and stuff that we saw, it looks like they, again, the Team Asano, they're really putting their best foot forward here and just trying to, bring the best presentation that they can in style, because it was really cool seeing how the overworld in particular, how that's now like ballooned in size almost, where, because I just rewatched the old trailer yesterday, kind of to compare and contrast. And it was cool seeing how the overworld has now gotten much bigger in size versus like with the old trailer, where it looks like, oh, they took the location, but they kind of just HDified them, like the little bit you guys see of Eliahan, it's pretty identical. But then when you see it in the new trailer now, it's like, oh, they have like these extra details, like the castle look a little different. And that was the biggest thing that stood out to me too, how much they changed how some of the locations looked. Like I loved the detail, like in the town where the people of Ortega, that one looked really cool, even though we only saw that little portion of it. And when we got to see too, like what the shrine for Ramia looks like, that had some really cool design elements to it as well that I liked. And I really got a very positive vibe from it. And it made me, excited that we were finally getting a good look at this after, 3 years of silence. And then at the very end, we had Yuji Horii popping up to you and giving his little message, and it's like, God bless that man. you could feel the excitement
like, oh,
from
he's
him.
so
He's
happy.
smiling the whole time he's talking. It's great.
That was a nice touch that they had our Lord and Savior give us a little message about the game as well. I really appreciated that.
So I've got a question. Were people really that worried that this game wasn't coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Because because people were saying just like this studio makes pretty epic complicated, just like crossing paths and all this stuff games. And like I figured like, well, they're a very, very busy and very in-demand studio right now, so I imagine it's going to be done when it's done.
Yep.
I mean, that's how I was convinced myself that they were going to do 1 and 2, because there's no way they're taking this much time just to do the one game. They've got to be doing 1 and 2 as well, and that's ended up.
Oh
being
yeah,
the
that
case.
was definitely I think that was definitely a tell as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And if they were doing like a straight remake like I thought that they were going to do at first, well, yeah, I can see that coming out a year after the trailer or something like that. But things like zooming in on the world map, when it's zoomed out, like I said, it looks very nice, but it pretty much takes away all the exploration that you would do, and just like, oh, there's the cave, I'll just go right there. But with it zoomed in with the hills and all that, you can explore more, and hopefully they put like little things like they've done from 9 to 11. They'll put like little ponds and little treasure chests and things like that for people to find. I really hope they do that.
It said that in some of the previews.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, little sparkly spots that you can find that will have like various items and gold that you can find. Also, there's going to be like random places where you'll find like random merchants that will appear and things like that.
Did any of you play Dragon Quest 11 in the 2D mode for any extended period of time?
I did.
Yes.
I have
Okay.
played none of Dragon Quest 11 yet. Still,
Fake fan.
'cause I work.
I work too.
Mhm.
We all
We
work.
all
I
work.
work a lot.
Yeah.
We all work. That's not an excuse.
But
I
they
work.
did
I
that
work in
Dragon
shit
Quest
post. That
11
takes a lot of
where
time.
In Dragon Quest 11, you just step on like squares sometimes, and it would transport you to like a little forest glade that had like a pond, and you'd walk around. There'd be a treasure chest there.
Mhm.
So I wonder if they're going to do something like that. It was just, you'd be
Oh,
walking
yeah.
over, and you'd see just a little. I don't know. It would look different, and when you stepped on it, it was like walking into a house almost from the overworld.
Yeah,
that
it's
could-
like the classic kind of Final Fantasy thing where there's a spot on the world map that looks a little different. You step on it. Hey, look, you're in like a little forest glade, or hey,
That's
look,
exactly,
there's a
yeah.
chocobo forest or something.
Yeah, and one of the previews did say that they mentioned specifically, you'd run into something like that and it'll be like a merchant. So it could be other different things that you can find as well, like you guys have mentioned, treasure chests and whatnot. And someone brought up a good point in the Dragon's Den Discord when they were talking about the resource places that you can find, the little sparkly spots that have items and whatnot. They were speculating, well, hey, if you can find items in these resource locations, maybe that means that they might have alchemy in this game as well, and that's where you can find like alchemy type items. And I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh, maybe that could be interesting if they introduced that to the game as well.
I'm gonna guess that's not gonna happen. Based on 2 of the different preview ones I was reading, they specifically went into what those things you find are, like healing herbs or this, and I didn't necessarily get the feeling. But they could give those people any kind of version they want and have that waiting in
Embargo's
the
still
wings.
up too, so.
Oh yeah. Hey, we know you just found a effervescence, but don't mention that. Or whatever those
Talk
things
about
are.
it.
But hey, speaking of those preview videos that we're talking about, hey, Dwayne, why don't you take us on to our next topic?
I thought we'd talk about some of the hands-on videos that we've seen from various sources. A lot of info was dropped here and there, such as we got voice acting, we've got 3 difficulty modes, new story content, battle speed options, and a whole lot more. Now, most of these videos really nice. I think there was an event before the direct where people got to play it, and people were also invited to the Square Enix offices to play it. And when you're watching these, and again, I'm sure they are nice, wonderful people, but you can really tell which ones were the actual fans and which ones were kind of just in it for the clicks. The real fans actually talk about the game, and the excitement is real. But man, a couple of these videos I just could not finish, because when I'm halfway in and they're still telling us about the title screen menus, it's just like, okay, did you play the game or not? And when I'm 5 minutes into a 12-minute video and they still haven't gotten to the game, but like some are just blatantly regurgitating the press release. This one I saw was repeating the full title over and over, and it's funny because like I know exactly what you're doing. You're saying that to pad out time to hit the YouTube algorithm sweet spot, and I mean it worked for him. I got to watch the video, but it can be frustrating sifting through all that. It's always great to find new Dragon Quest fans and channels, but if you're a content creator, you want to give fans something that they can gather that's beyond just watching the trailer or seeing all the same promos stuff. Clickbait just makes me want to throw my Roku remote at the screen. But yeah, most of them were great, and it was good to see. What's the one? The dude's got the little slime to his right. That's the one that I recommend the most. Is it something allies?
Easy Allies, definitely not.
That's it. Yeah.
That wasn't their video. They're the ones.
It's
that
the first
gave
video
us
of
the
him that
Elbert.
I've ever seen. So.
All right. Well, let me throw my recommendation in there. I suggest y'all go to the RPG fan one, Zach Wilkerson. I've been on a podcast with him. I listen to him all the time on their Retro Encounter podcast, which is basically kind of like my RPG backtrack that I do for RPG Gamer. Oh my gosh, I said it wrong. RPG Gamer. But we always joke with RPG fan that they're like our
because like their video was
there.
The first one I saw.
Yep, yeah. I know Zach. Zach's a Dragon Quest fan, and you can even hear him. I will say his video is just him reading his review, so if you don't want to watch it, and his is one of the shorter ones, it's about 4 or 5 minutes. If you don't want to watch it, you can just go read it on the website. But he's talking about like tears coming to his eyes because he played this game when he was a kid, and he knows all the things about it, and it's just seeing this way was really awesome to him. But yeah, that was cool. I immediately was like, I got on Discord with my editor at RP Gamer, and I'm like, oh my god, how come they got this and we didn't? And he's like, yeah, remember when I asked if anybody wanted to go to LA? And I was like, oh yeah. That was a big no.
Yeah, no one should want to go to LA, but if you say Dragon Quest is involved, I mean, honestly, like with Dragon Quest may be involved. It's the only times I've been to LA.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and they don't say that beforehand. We were just offered press tickets to go to Summer Game Fest hands-on stuff in LA. So nobody was able to go. We've sent people before to Final Fantasy ones. Got a guy in Phoenix that goes over there every now and then, something like that. But I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that message about a month ago. Yeah, I was not going to go out there. But yeah, it was really cool to watch a couple of these, and once you watch like 2 or 3, you're like, okay, this is just the same thing over and over again. But just little things that they noticed, it was fun. I appreciated hearing it. And yeah, they're all showing the same assets over and over. So if you're just there for the assets, you've seen it once, you'll see it a bunch of times.
No, they all said we played the intro of the game. So and like they were allowed to talk about that. And so it's like, okay, so tell me about the things that differed. Just like what is it about Eliahan this time that's different from the mobile or the Switch version? What's different about Reeve? Just like what's different about the tower? Because they said like the first hour, so they're going through all that, and you get details here and there, like the cave has little rats running through it, and that's really cool and awesome. But let us know something about the story details, so fans that are interested in purchasing this game, like they're not getting the same thing that they maybe already own.
I mean, we'll get more of that in the future. I remember when I went to the remember when Dragon Quest VII 3DS came out,
Mm-hmm.
They actually did stuff in GameStops that you could go to and
That's
play.
right,
and I did. And I went there, and I mean, honestly, the part that they gave you, it's like, okay, you couldn't play much. I know Zach's mentioned that, obviously there was no switching classes, and they were already given, it started a little bit into the game. They were already given the classes. So they had a party when they started the game. He's like, I didn't get to pick, I didn't get to switch around or anything.
Yeah, I guess a better example would be, I would kind of like to know, is it a lot of the same script that we've already seen in the mobile in the Switch version, or have they rewritten the entire thing? I'm curious about that.
Good question.
As long as
they're gonna have more.
brings up mentioning your innards, then hey, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll find out in a few months. So.
Nice. Drippy, what did you think of all the reviews that you've seen so far?
Not great. So
Drippy reviewing the reviewers.
Yeah, no, I watched 3 videos. I say watch, so it was Easy Allies, Noisy Pixel, and I just had to go back in my YouTube history, and Next Side Quest was the other one. I was definitely the actually guy this morning, because I went into Easy Allies, and I was like, all right, well, I'm not really a huge fan of them or whatever, but I'll give it a try, whatever. And I don't know, right away the guy was like, yeah, they call it the Eldrick trilogy, and he has like his journal next to him. I'm like, dude, like, come the fuck on. And he's like, he's like, yeah, so I can see them moving forward with more of these if the game does well. And I'm just like, all right, well, I'm done with this video. Like, you guys are like, I'm good. And it was funny because we were talking earlier, like, we thought a couple days ago that he said like El Dick, and I was like, well, that's the Spanish version. But yeah,
it's like you don't want to be that guy, but sometimes it's like, oh, come on.
It's like, yeah, exactly. And it was like, you guys were saying, like, you can tell who the fan is and who wasn't. And like back at when I was watching Easy Alice, I don't know, that guy was definitely the Nintendo and like Zelda guy or whatever, but I'm just like, all right, well, I'm done with this. So I was like, all right, so I just typed in like, all right, Dragon Quest 3 HD2Day, and Noisy Pixel comes up. Like, all right, I've heard them. They're kind of, reviewers or whatever. Their video was 4 minutes long. Almost 2 minutes of it was just about talking to the event. Oh, Square Enix, they sent us out and stuff like that. Thank you so much, blah, 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 blah. And then probably 30 seconds later, when they actually start talking about the game, the guy was like, I used to play this and stuff like that back in the day. And I get to the first dungeon, and I remembered where this book was, and it changes your class. And I'm like, it's not changing your class, it's your personality. So there was my second, like, oh, actually, But so what I did take out of that when I got to next side quest, his video was a lot better, and he went more into the systems. Like, we can see that there's abilities and stuff like that. He mentioned the fast forward, which is what really stuck out to me. Because I know that we, like our group and stuff like that, we don't associate Dragon Quest with grinding. But in my experience with 3, at least, there's definitely a couple parts where you might find yourself, a little bit underleveled. Basically when you get off the first continent and when you're about to go to Baramos Castle, I've always kind of felt like I'm a little underleveled and I got to do a little bit of grinding. But it's definitely not, oh my god, it's going to take you 70 hours to beat this game because you have to grind all the time. It's like, no. So just having speed up to, like on my lunch break or something like that, okay, I can just get into some battles, get some levels and stuff like that. And it also, I feel, help with speeding up when you switch your classes and everything. Because, when you go down to level 1, you got to kind of run around that area and everything like that. It's nice to have. I don't think we really need it. But, quality of life things are always nice to have.
So given that I have not played 11, as far as just modern Dragon Quest games, I've never thought the battles were slow, especially the Arte Piazza games. They're pretty speedy, and when you go back to something like Pokemon, those battles are super slow, and they have not sped those up.
I have to turn off animations for any Pokemon game I play now. I'm just like, I don't care about these animations. They are bad. So yeah.
So like when people say just like, oh, like Dragon Quest is grindy, like no, it's not, because the battles go by fairly quick, and as long as you're not doing anything stupid, you'll progress pretty easily. They were grindy maybe in the 8-bit era, but no, I've never really had to just like run around and kill monsters for hours on end unless I want to.
The only game that I've ever seen a fair amount of people kind of complain about the battle speed was the original Dragon Quest 8. Some people would say like, the animations take too long. I never had that problem myself.
Would the interface cause that? The US interface caused that?
Oh.
Yeah, which I appreciate the effort, but it did slow down the game considerably.
Angus, what'd you think of the reviews that you saw?
Well, I only watched the one. It was the Easy Allies one, and I immediately regretted sending that to you guys after I started watching. Because
he seems nice. I liked it.
Yeah, but with some of the details and things he was going on about, it's like, I wasn't quite as kerfuffled as Drippy was, but when he said Eldrick, or as I thought he said Eldick, I'm like, what? I was dying laughing at work when I'm on my lunch break listening to it. I was dying laughing because I'm like, what? No, he did not say that, did he? Well, then I rewatched it and he did say Eldrick, but I'm just like, oh my god, Eldick is like the Spanish version. I don't know what this episode is going to be rated, but so sorry, whatever, for pushing the boundaries here, but it was just so funny. But from what little I watched of that, I mean, they gave a good first impression. It was cool seeing a little bit more footage than we had saw in the direct. Like Dwaine mentioned, we got to see. I'm pretty sure it was the underground passage that halfway between the little shrine that's near Portuga, where it's the one that you can travel underground. It's just a solid straightaway. And I loved how you had the details of the little rats running around. That was really cool to see that, and just how they had kind of what do I want to say, kind of elevates as you're walking down it, and then it elevates back up as you're going towards the exit. So that was kind of cool little details to see that from watching that footage. But other than that, I haven't really watched any other preview footage or anything apart from what you guys have shared. So it's definitely cool to hear, though, that there are going to be different difficulty options, which after how well the draconian stuff was in Dragon Quest XI, I'm all for that. If we got options to make enemies a little tougher, things like that, hey, I welcome it. No offense to Dragon Quest, but sometimes with being a little on the easier side, sometimes like having a little bit more of a little challenge or here and there where you got to like kind of strategize a bit. I appreciate that.
I've seen some people in the past that are not fans of the past remakes just because a lot of the difficulty gets nerfed. So I'm sure a lot of people actually love to see that.
Yeah, admittedly, that was something about 7's remake I'm not super big on, is that things just felt a little easier. Maybe it's because more experience with the games and stuff, but there were times where it's like, I remember this being more difficult, and I don't think I've changed my strategies that much, but whatever.
Yeah, because like you don't want to revisit a game and then breeze through it in a couple hours. Yeah. When I was watching all these videos, I made this little joke image on my Instagram story. It's Professor Von Dwaine's do's and don'ts for making a Dragon Quest III HD 2D overview. Do be a fan of the series or have played at least one of the previous iterations. Do talk about playing the game you were invited to preview. Do describe what you played and how it differs from previous versions. Do give your audience info they would know simply by watching the trailer. Don't say that you don't play the games. Please don't do that. Don't just regurgitate the press release. Don't say the full title over and over to pad time. And don't waste Square Enix's time and use them for clickbait instead of providing anything fun and insightful for fans. It's like a little spiteful, but it's just like, because I'm always up for finding somebody new to watch, but if you straight up say no, I don't play Dragon Quest, or I'm not a fan of it, well, why should I watch your video?
Yeah, I mean, at some point though, those guys have been invited. Dragon Quest was not the only thing they played. They were there in LA to play a dozen different games. And
it's probably Final Fantasy stuff and all that kind of stuff.
The new Power Washer Simulator.
Yeah. Yep. But getting back to what I was talking about from the previews and stuff, there's some really cool new details we found out about things. Voice acting one kind of surprises me, but also doesn't surprise me since all of the other HD 2D games have had voice acting. Definitely interesting to see, what the casting is going to be like. The one thing I'm the most curious about is if, I don't know, have they said if Treasures and Trapdoors, if that's coming back at all?
They have not.
No,
Okay.
We don't know.
So I'm curious about that, but I'm also really hoping that if they're still going to have the post-game dungeon that the Super Nintendo version gave us, that there's going to be a way to grind a little faster than trying to hunt down liquid metal slimes, because you guys were talking about the grinding earlier. Like, that's probably one of the most annoying grinds in a Dragon Quest game that I've dealt with, where if you're trying to get levels to fight Shenlong / Divine Gon in that tower, holy fuck, it takes way too long to level up and try and get to a reasonable point where you can fight that thing and kill him in enough turns.
Oh, I totally agree with you. That is one of the worst post-game grinds in all of Dragon Quest by far. Just trying to go after those liquid metal slimes in that game. It's I have PTSD from doing that in the past.
I really hope that they'll have like a secret area once you beat the game, and maybe if you can beat Shenlong the first time, where it's like, oh, you can unlock like Metal Meadows, or whatever the equivalent would be for that, for Dragon Quest 3. Some like special area you can go where there's just tons of metal slimes, just to speed up that process, because oh my god, I did it once back on the Game Boy Advance, or not Game Boy Advance, sorry, the Game Boy Color version. I've tried doing it again. I just can't do it. It's too much of a slog.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they make the island that Rubis's Tower is on, the little slime island?
I don't think so.
Okay. No. All right. I want to say 3 has a little slime island somewhere.
I know 8 has a specific area.
Yeah, that's Slime Hill.
Slimes, not just ones.
Not in
Slime
3,
Hill. That's where you find the Conqueror's Axe for Yangus and 8.
You would know that.
Yep.
Yeah, you can find the liquid metal slimes in a few different locations, but there's no like specific like slime area.
Yep.
Okay.
The best place to hunt for them is outside of, I believe the town's Remoldar. I can never say the names very well of the Dragon Quest 1 towns, but it's the one that is surrounded by the little lake.
Mm-hmm. And you buy the keys.
Yeah, but that's my biggest hope. They're probably not going to talk about that, but I really hope that we find out from somebody that they sped that part up at least, or just to make it faster and a little more convenient, because otherwise it takes too damn long.
Speaking of too damn long, this is going to be a really weird tangent, but I hope somebody finds this. This was in the early days of YouTube. It's like 2005. If you search for Dragon Quest III in Japanese, somebody made, I'm not kidding, a 3-hour-long YouTube video, which was unheard of at the time. This is way before H Bomber guy. So it's just this guy used stock photos and recreated the entirety of Dragon Quest III. But whenever he would get into a fight, he would play the entire track. So it would just be this picture of like a stock photo of a picture of a forest and a stock photo of a bear and just this generic warrior dude. It would play the entire track, and then it would show I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that has ever seen it. If anyone out there, I have been trying to find it for a decade now. No, over a decade. So please, if you have come across this monstrosity, please link to it. It's the dumbest, most ridiculous piece of Dragon Quest stuff that I have ever seen. This is really the Dragon Quest 3 remake I want.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
just made completely with AI stock photos.
It's just a slideshow.
Oh my god. I would say from watching these preview videos, I was fortunate enough to watch the RPG fan one first, and thankfully that's one of the better ones. I think that was the first one that dropped right after the direct. But I loved, so. Yeah, I loved some of the features that came out of that we got to learn about. I love how like there's not only are there 3 different levels of difficulty that you can choose, but I like how they named them. Like they used for the harder one, they used the classic Draconian quest that we now have since 11. And then the regular normal difficulty is just called Dragon Quest. And then the easy mode is called Draki Quest. I thought that was cute. So I thought that was fun.
Cute. Something about the voice acting really quick. 3 never had like a giant script. The voice acting is nice, but unexpected. So if they've added that much to the script to justify the voice acting, actually auditioning and hiring actors, that'll be pretty nice to see.
It would be funny if you just get like random voice acting of the person who just welcomes you to the town. Welcome to Alleyhan, and that's all they say.
So
that's what I'm wondering. Where are they going to
in the commentary for Invader Zim, Gur has one line in one episode, and it's I got monkeys in me, and during the commentary, Ricky Simons goes, I got paid for that because he was just asked to come in that one day, record that one line, and left. So hopefully all the Dragon Quest 3 actors recorded more than one line and just went home.
It'll probably be like how Live Alive was, where basically everything that would qualify as a cutscene gets voice acting.
Okay.
And chances are you'll be like, if you go to talk to the kings or like major NPCs in each town, they'll probably have voice lines. That would be my guess, since that's how Live Alive's remake handled it.
Okay,
that makes sense. That will be fun to see who they get to play Baramos and see who's going to be yelling at us about eating our innards. Devouring our innards.
I hope that whoever they have for like Zoma in particular, that they pick somebody who gives him a very like menacing, intimidating performance. Because as I've talked about in the past, like I always thought it was really weird how like with Rapthorn being like the first voice acted villain, how it's funny when he's little and he's like, I'm the evil Rapthorn. He's got like that real squeaky voice. It's very funny because he's so tiny. Then he balloons up and then he starts talking like Dr. Claw, where he's like, I'll get you next time, heroes. Like you need to have a voice that fits this giant booming monstrosity in the air. Like have something like echoes out through the sky or something, not where he's like one cat away from going, I'll get you next time, Gadget. So I hope that Baramos, Zoma, especially Zoma, that they get whoever's done the voice acting for him, gave them a very like intimidating, and like in Zoma's case, like a cold sort of performance, since he uses a lot of cold stuff. So hey, there you go.
Something a lot of people don't kind of miss about Baramos is that even in the concept art, it's just like old lizard before he had a name. So since he's been around for forever, he's supposed to be like all old and decrepit and all that. So I hope they get a nice kind of like ancient, just kind of gravelly sounding voice for him. That'll be fun.
Ancient Baramos. They shall feast upon thine inner. Not quite like.
And when he shows up as a zombie twice, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day. So in the Monsters games, the ones we did not get here in America, they had a full-on redesign for one of the forms of Baramos when Zoma like splits him in half, where it's like his skeleton and his spirit or soul, whatever. And the design that they have for that in the Monsters game is really cool because it looks like regular Baramos, but now he's like zombified, and like part of his skin is showing showing his skeleton underneath, and like he just looks all like decayed and everything. It's so nasty, but it's so cool. So I'm really hoping that they'll use that design and give it like a cool sprite work, sprite design for this HD 2D version. It'd be really cool if they did.
That may have been partially inspired by Emblem of Roto, because Baramos comes back as a zombie again in that. It's a really nice design. It's in the art book, and they seem to have kind of took a note from Fujiwara's design. It's really nice.
Oh yeah, that'd be. I hope that they do that, because when I was looking it up, I totally forgot they just use like one of the regular skeleton dragons for his bones. It's like, oh please do something cool, make him look like that creepy zombie looking thing. That'd be so sweet.
I also appreciate that they mentioned in some of the preview videos that not only will it be English voice acting, but they'll have Japanese voice acting as well, that you can choose either one for anyone who wants to have the option to choose English or Japanese for the voice acting. So that'll be cool.
I want to mix and match, and if I don't, I will not be happy, and I will storm the offices of Square Enix until they give me what I demand.
Have the first part of the game, everybody's speaking English. Second part, everybody's in Japanese.
I want like the king. I want him for like one line in Japanese, and when I hit the dialogue button, it switches to English, or maybe like halfway through the window. It should be super easy to code.
have everybody speak English, but when Zoma shows up, he's the only one speaking Japanese, and everyone's like, "What's he saying? What's he talking about? Who are you, dude?
I don't understand.
We don't understand what you're talking about." Starts laughing, casts darkness over the land. They're like, "Oh, he's evil. Okay."
And there have been times when I'm working on my book at the restaurant, because like I live in Houston. Houston is a very international city. The table next to me, the same person will be speaking in English and Spanish, and they will start a sentence in Spanish and finish it in English sometimes. And the thing is, I know enough Spanish to kind of translate it in my head, but sometimes I hear that and I'll just be sitting there drawing. I'm like, wait, did I just have a stroke? Because I'm here the same person speak two different things, the same sentence. What's going on?
Going crazy.
Something else that I thought was fun is I think someone had mentioned it before, but how they confirmed that they'll be the personality system.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, because Drippy was joking about that, how someone said like, oh yeah, I found one of these books and it changed my class.
Right.
On it, it changed the personality. So, and plus you can see in the trailer itself, you can see that scene where the hero is standing on that cliff where that's from the beginning of the remakes. So you can see that whole beginning scenario should be part of the game as well again.
Oh, true.
Great.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see that upgraded. And something else that I thought was fun is, so we had mentioned how from the first trailer to the second trailer, you can see how they had a design shift. And one of the design shifts was how the overworld looks and how it's much more immense now. It's not as condensed as it was in the initial trailer. And obviously that was to make it more of a explorable world, make it a little bit larger. And that's why you see those sparkles now for the resources and things like that. So you can see why they did that, since there'll be things that you can go and hunt for and whatnot. So that'll be fun, because it's always good when you have a little more exploration when you can. And then I also saw that one of the reviewers mentioned that for the PlayStation 5 version, there'll be a 4K option. So that'll be good. That'll be good for the people that really want to have that graphical fidelity and take advantage of the PS5 and whatnot. There you go.
Will we really notice that much of a difference though?
I would say.
You do notice a difference when you see like Octopath 2 on PS5 versus Switch, or like on PC and stuff like that. It does make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it in frame rate or just overall
frame
graphical
rate?
fidelity?
Like pretty much everything improves.
Okay.
It still looks good on Switch. Like I don't regret playing Octopath Traveler 2 on Switch, for instance, but like looking at PS4 quality stuff, and like even with what they did with Live Alive when they brought that to the other consoles like a year later, like there's definitely improvements in like frame rate and like what they're able to show on screen and everything. There's not like a whole bunch of pop in on Switch, but there are times when playing like Octopath 2 especially where I notice parts where it's like, oh, the graphics changed a little bit, here and there to kind of save on polygons and pixels and stuff. But watching that on PS5 and like more powerful hardware, it's like, okay, it doesn't do that. So they had to do that to accommodate the Switch hardware.
Okay.
And then the final thing that I saw that's going to be very interesting to see what they do is they mentioned that there's going to be new story content, and a lot of the places that I saw that talked about it made sure to also mention that this new story content is supervised by Yuji Horii, so it's not like some random dude that was like, hey, let's just do this side's quest or whatever. But apparently there's going to be new story content, and that'll be interesting to see what they come up with for that to kind of maybe make, pad out the game's story and whatnot, or maybe they'll do side quests or maybe some flashbacks of certain things. But one of the big
there was a little frozen flame boss in one spot. So
yeah, it was like a gray variant of it.
Yeah, because that's not a three monster. So
that's a 2-1.
Yep.
Oh, nice. I didn't notice that. But yeah, something that I forget who pointed that out, but you can see in the trailer in the house of the hero, you can see the poster or the picture of the Yggdrasil tree from Dragon Quest XI and the books from that ending. So it's like, oh, it looks like they're gonna make that connection stronger between those two games. So that'll be interesting.
Oh my God,
to see that as well.
I haven't played 11 yet. You have just spoiled the entire thing for me. It's fine. According to the poet Miles E. Cyrus, it ain't about how fast you get there and ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb.
I will be very interested to see if that's just going to be like an Easter egg kind of thing, or is there actually going to be some story beats that connect it or whatnot.
I mean, if they went through all the trouble to put it in there, I'm sure there will be. So I know 11 links to the Roto/Erdrick trilogy. So I'm sure. And if not during the actual game, I'm sure they'll have plenty of post game content.
Yeah, I could see them doing stuff. I could see like the flashback stuff, like we saw, like that could probably be during the main game, because with how many places you go and people talk about Ortega, I could see like those leading into like, oh, the hero recalls this moment from their past, or the hero recalls blah blah blah, stuff like that. Or like you go to the inn, you take you go to sleep, and like the hero has a dream about that, where it's like something from their childhood, or when something, or like when they were growing up, when they were older, when Ortega wasn't around, it was just them and their mother and their grandfather who's always upstairs. But
they both have the same traumatic experience in Asalam.
With the puff, yeah.
That'd be funny.
Father like son.
Have the guy who doesn't be like, oh, you remind me of that big, strong, buff guy who was here a few years ago. It's like, oh, Dad, it happened to you too? Uh-huh.
Just kind of a random thing that's nice. There's this one Enix artist who has been posting little bits of concept art on Twitter here and there, and he mentioned he designed Ortega for the intro to the US NES version, and I think it's nice how just a little assignment he did turned out to become canon, and now that's been used in every single version, and his design became the definitive design for Ortega. Mm-hmm. If anyone remembers his name, please remind me.
Now, something else that they announced shortly after they put out the trailer for the Direct was the collector's edition. So, Platty, go ahead and start us out with that.
Oy.
So, they did reveal a collector's edition for the game. It's a Square Enix store exclusive that will also be available in other regions, North America and Europe. It includes an adventurous accessory kit, a game case, storage box, a character and monster acrylic stand set. Was there like a dozen of them or something like that? 2 digital wallpapers, and this is yours all for the low price of $200 plus shipping, which is never cheap at the Square Enix store.
It was about
I think Berurian found it was like $230.
Yep. Okay.
Well, I was also looking in New Hampshire too, so that's true actually. Yeah, I was at $210, so yeah, in a state with sales tax, yeah, probably closer to $230.
There's no way that is heavy enough for $30 shipping. There's no way.
It's $9.99 shipping if you do the regular shipping.
Okay.
I'm talking about
I don't know. He
tax,
posted that picture a few days ago.
Unless they're packing it like really.
I bought it myself, so I know it's $9.99 if you do just the regular shipping.
Okay.
Oh, well,
and it's going to be shipped by Ace Ventura.
Anyway, that's what's in the collector's thing is not worth the price in my opinion, because hell no.
That price absolutely sucks. I won't go too much, but stupid Square Enix and their corporate greed, man. They've lost what they say this year, $150 million with all their, we're doing all our games and putting them on one platform at a time. They've already walked that back, realizing that they were pretty much dumbasses for that. Every Final Fantasy game they pump out doesn't meet sales expectations. There's always some press announcement about that. They could sell 20 million, but that's not what we expected, limiting themselves to single digital platform for years. And because of all this stupid stuff, they're killing off all their new IPs that they made, all their mid-tier games like Harvestella, killing off all new, the high-def games. Like, they're not going to be developing new IPs for PS5 and whatever, So now they got to crawl this back by screwing out the couple hundred people that will pay for $200 for this, for their 10-cent acrylic stands and $200 worth of digital freebies. Get those elevating shoes.
To jump in real quick, I found Berurian's thing. It wasn't $230. It was $222.58.
Okay, that makes a huge difference.
Well, still, that's pretty damn close.
Save those $8 by a Happy Meal.
Yes.
Can't even get a Happy Meal for that. Those things are like $7 now.
That's what I said.
That doesn't make me very happy at all.
No.
In fact, after I eat it, I'm not going to be happy.
Oh. I hope those who ordered it enjoy it, but like I've left the physical train a couple of years ago. It's all digital for me now.
It's like I said, I'm good with my basic bitch copy, where I get my $60 and it's in a regular plastic case. Thank you very much. That's all I need.
Well, you don't want to deal with the Square Enix store, Yangus? I don't know why you.
Fuck that. Yeah, no. After what happened with Dragon Quest XI, no. I mean, it's cool that they have the little acrylics. Like, those are cool. And it's from that picture, too, that we got one of our first glimpses that there's a new job class. Ooh.
That is true. We got the new Monster Master job class that's going to be in there. And I wasn't sure what it was at first, but if you go to what the Monster Master class looks in Dragon Quest X, it's like almost exactly the same art.
Yeah. And you know what I noticed, too? I rewatched the trailer at work today, getting prepared for this, and I noticed something. In the cutscene where the hero's party is in Liam Land and all the orbs are there, you see the party consists of the hero, a sage, the female merchant, and at the bottom there's the class. There's the Monster Master class there with it.
Nice. So,
that's the only part of the trailer where I saw that class pop up, and it makes me wonder if it's going to be you have to upgrade into it at all trades, and it's not going to be like a starting class. Kind of like maybe
probably
something along the lines of like the
Sage.
Yes, thank you, the sage, but maybe hopefully without the requirement of like you either need a gadabout or you need the special Words of Wisdom book. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. If they stick a monster arena anywhere in there, you'll probably have to do something like find like a Book of Satori but for the Monster Master. They'll probably do something in regards to that. So I hope that'll be a fun class.
Drippy, what do you think about the collector's edition?
Yeah, definitely not something I'm getting because I missed out actually on that 11 collector's edition. So I remember they were like, really limited quantities, and like the day I decided to, I was like, all right, fine, I'm gonna get it. I swear I had to have one of the last ones in my cart. When I went to go check out, it was gone. So I'm kind of like not on the ball with Square Enix collector's editions, but $200, there's no way. I mean, I think I counted there's like 22 acrylics or whatever, but I'm like, I'm never gonna actually like display these. I don't really have a spot for them. The box is probably huge, so it's gonna just like take a good bunch of space on my shelf anyways. It's like, there's no way. My friend sent me a picture of it and stuff like that. We were texting back and forth during the direct, and he sent me that, and I was all ready to go, and I'm just like, I don't know what I would ask for it. I mean, I feel like even, let's say, 100 maybe, because the game is 60 and then you get all that stuff. But even I just feel like Square Enix, they just go with a flat 200 for the collector's editions now.
Like, if there was like an art book included, I think it would be worth more so worth the price. Just to jump in real quick.
I mean, it's basically big box with the game and then the acrylics. It's like, they really skimped out on that one, which is a real bummer, because it's like, you want to do this game justice. I mean, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where the teams, it seems like they took a lot of time and stuff like that. They're putting their all into it. It's like, this is Dragon Quest 3, and like that might not mean a lot to like new Square Enix fans, but this is a really important game. And if you're gonna remake it, I mean, maybe it's hyperbolic to say like it's on the level of the Final Fantasy VII remake, but it's one of those games you really gotta do it. To go back to the collector's edition, it's like, if that's all you're gonna give us for $200, like, no way. I've got my pre-order on Amazon through Woodus's links, so he'll get a little bit of scratch for that. So
I'm gonna try my best to be fair here. So we English-speaking Dragon Quest fans, all 12 of us, we kind of always felt second class compared to the Japanese audience. So I always appreciate any sort of effort. In fact, the Dragon Quest 9, even though I have not played it, I do have the collector's edition of that. It is fantastic. I don't know know what we did to deserve something so nice, but I am so glad we have this. But I'm sorry, this just isn't worth the money. The case is very nice. I know the acrylic standees are really popular with the kids these days, but those are very cheap and easy to produce. And even then, they're just sprite rips. It's not even the new character artwork. And this is something that I think you're going to be able to get in really any sort of artist alley at a con, because I see pretty much the same things all the time. And with the digital wallpapers, fans have essentially already created those with the old artwork and also the new cover artwork. The only thing that's missing is that text, and I don't think that text is going to add anything. The rest are just in-game assets that cost nothing.
You get those regardless. Like if you just pre-order the game, you'll get those items that come.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just, and thing is, given the size of the case, and you think about the box, those standees probably aren't going to be very big. So this is just not a $200 set, and this is coming from someone that is about to drop 5 big ones on the HasLab Mos Eisley Cantina, and the deluxe version at that. I'm paying an extra $100 to get a wall for my little dollhouse. So I'm willing to pay that, but I cannot justify paying $200 for this. But the problem with this set, if people don't support it, it sends a message that fans don't want Dragon Quest collector's editions. We just don't want this one. And I feel that Square Enix could have done more with what they already have to work with. But things like plushies or cloth maps may not fit into the merchandise for this game, because this seems to be very much HD 2D's own thing. So we may already have an art book or soundtrack on the way. If you think this is worth your money, cool. I hope you enjoy it. We all have different things that we buy that give us value for our money. And I'll give you a very quick example. I play Pokemon Go, and they had an event start today where you can hatch the shiny Larvesta. Will I spend $20 on coins to get a box of incubators to hatch this shiny Larvesta? Yes. Do I want it? No. I'm hoping to hatch it because my friend who plays it, I'm hoping to hatch it, and he doesn't, because if he doesn't, he will absolutely lose his mind. And for me, $20 to watch this man writhe on the ground in agony is worth it to me. It will always be funny, and it will make it even better because I have saved one with trash stats, and I will pretend to transfer it in front of him, further tormenting him. So yes, that is totally worth $20 for me, but paying $200 for this set, no.
So for me, I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. I love it. These acrylic stands particularly, like this is super popular, especially in Japan with the otaku crowd and the gamer crowd. You go to any kind of merchandise store in Japan, they're going to be all over the place. For these little stands, there's 20 of them for all the classes, and like one little, actually 21 because there's one for the game title. If you go to a merchandise type store and get something similar, they're going to be at least $5 a pop. So 5 times 20 for that. And then the Zoma and then the Baramos one, those will probably, those will be about $10. Find those in the store. And then I like the box because the box is, I think from what I've read, it's not only to display the first game, but it also has an extra slot to display 1 and 2 as well. I could be wrong on that, but I think that is what they built.
I think that's the Japanese one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we don't get that here. We're not.
That's too bad. But yeah, I like the display box and everything like that. But like I said, I'm a sucker for this. I like it. I have a whole bunch of acrylic stands for all sorts of anime and also for previous Dragon Quest games. Back when I went to Japan first time, they had a whole bunch of these type of acrylic stands for like Dragon Quest 11 characters and whatnot. I've got some for Rivals, Your Story, and so on and so forth. So for me, I like it. I think it's a nice little set. And what I'm most excited about is that we actually have the chance to have the option to buy this, because the last 3 games that had collector's editions, Dark Prince had one, Treasures had one, Dragon Quest 11 specifically for the Switch had one that had those audio dramas that thankfully Hyrule has been translating for us over the years. We never got any of that. We didn't have the option to it. We had to import it if we wanted it. So I'm glad that they're at least giving us the option to be able to get these as well. I totally understand why someone would look at a $200 price tag for a bunch of acrylic stands in a box and be like, what the hell? So I'm not knocking anybody for being unhappy with that whatsoever. It's been interesting though. I remember when the collector's edition came out for Heroes, which I have, where it had the treasure box and it had the slime plush and it had the lanyard. I remember people were complaining about that one too. It's like, why is there not a character or something like this? And even with 11, it's like, why is there not a plush? It's like sometimes for some people that they can never be happy with what they put out for a collector's edition. But this one in particular, I could see why. If this was something that they put out for 12 for like a mainline console game, oh, I'd be pissed too. Like, really? This is what you're doing for 12?
Yeah.
But for like a remake, I'm good with this. I like it.
I think part of the problem with this, Square Enix likes to kind of present itself as a luxury brand.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of their stuff is marked up because you're essentially paying a Square Enix tax, and it's just like, and if it's, I don't mind paying a little bit extra if it's worth the money, if it's nice. I don't want to pay extra just for the name.
Yeah, no, I mean that's true, because I remember when I was outside of the Square Enix cafe one time and they had a gacha machine for these acrylic stands for, I think it was for Rivals, and they're bigger than the ones that you're going to get for Dragon Quest 3, but they were like, it was like $10 a pop. It was like $5 to $10 a pop to the equivalent to get one of those.
Yeah, this is the same reason I have not gone Mac, even though I want to. I don't want to pay extra for the name.
Yep. I was just gonna say, I had a really random thought while you guys were talking about, like, oh, it comes with the plush and people are mad about that. I remember years ago when Dragon Quest 6 came out over here in the States, I had pre-ordered my copy at GameStop just because, like, well, I'm here at the mall when it was coming out, so blah blah blah. Well, I then go to pick up my copy, and the guy, when I get my copy at the counter, he's like, oh, here, you get this too, and he hands me a little slime plush, and I'm like, what's this? Like, oh, you pre-ordered the game, you get a slime plush, and I'm like, cool, all right. It's like, hey, I'll take it. So it was just funny to me hearing people being like, what the hell? It's only a slime plush. What is it?
So I think I would.
That was a really random thought, but it popped in my head, so I had to tell you about it.
I think I would be okay with the standees if they were the new character art, because I noticed, because I checked out the Japanese website, I hadn't seen any monster art or anything from this. So at the Square Enix event, they had these cardboard stand-ups of the two heroes, the male and female. At first, I thought that they had used the Game Boy Color assets, but then I saw a larger picture and realized, oh, hey, this is brand new character artwork. So it's using the Super Famicom as a base, but it also has a little bit of the flair of those original designs Toriyama did for the Famicom, and it's a very nice look. There are artists on Instagram that specialize in certain areas, certain eras of Toriyama's artwork, and this definitely feels like a mix and match of that. So it's cool, and it's using like how they painted it. They're using the kind of the Luma watercolor ink that Toriyama used for that original cover. So it's a very nice look. I hope they release more of that artwork. So which makes me think there's an art book on the way.
Well, for sure there's going to be, like, they stopped doing them overseas, but in Japan they still do physical game guides, and they'll come out with some kind of book. So I'm wondering what kind of art assets will be in that as well. So it'll be interesting to see.
They'll have an official one, and they'll have a jump one too.
Nice. So what do we hope to see in this game? While a lot about the game was revealed, there are still some mysteries. Like, will it have TNT boards? Will it have monster medals? What will be the added story content? What will the post game be like? Personally, what I would like to see, I would definitely want to see the TNT boards. I was so mad that the mobile port did not have that. And of course, they ported the mobile port when they did the PlayStation and the Switch versions of it, so that also did not have the TNT boards as well. It's just something I like a lot in terms of Dragon Quest extras that some of the games have, and I would be disappointed if they didn't have that. If the monster medals don't reappear, that's not going to make me sad, but maybe some other way they could have the ice cave as another post-game dungeon that was associated with those medals. Maybe they could figure out how to still do that. That'd be cool. It's just, for me, it's just the TNT boards more than anything else. Just please bring those back because those are so so fun. So, and it'd be fun to see that in this new updated way that they did the graphic. I think other than that, just as long as they do the post game where you get to do the wishes once you beat the dragon, then as long as they have that, then I'm happy when it comes to post game. But it'll be very interesting to see, like I said before, what they do with this extra story content. So I don't know. What about you, Dwayne? What are you hoping to see with this?
I'm hoping to see a promotion with the Ortega brand Latin food. It's just like eat our taco shells and you can be a hero too. So, but anyway, I'm kind of hoping that this will be the definitive version of Dragon Quest III. Every version of 3 since the Super Famicom has kind of been missing something, and we can emulate the Super Famicom version, but if you want it on your TV, you have to hack your SNES Mini and put in a little bit of code for the emulator to work. The Game Boy Color version is great, but it has all the enemy animation, but it lacks the 16-bit graphics. The mobile version has the great localization, but it lacks the monster animation and the boards. So maybe this time we can have everything. We can have the graphics, the animation, the localization, and a little bit more content without it feeling like padding or just overkill, because I don't want the game to kind of feel like a slog, or just I don't want the new story parts to be boring. So I don't want to like speed through it just because I know what's coming next.
Oh, and you had mentioned it before, and I almost forgot that the epic Ortega battle in the beginning of the NES version. Mm-hmm. I would love to see that again as well in updated.
Yeah, it's in the trailer.
It is in the trailer.
There are a bunch of of other dead monsters around it, so it doesn't feel like you just got taken down by one dragon.
That's awesome. I'm excited for that. But Platty, what do you hope about to see with this game?
Side quests. I want side quests. I want a numbered list. A numbered list of side quests, couple in each town. That'd be fun.
Guess what? You're going to be getting a map that's going to mark all of them.
I know. Yeah, that the map has quest markers. The next thing you're supposed to do, stuff highlighted on the map. Love that. Make it turn off for people that don't want it. But I'm closer to 50 than I am to 40. I don't need that shit anymore. I'm not looking for this to be a challenge.
Yeah, I would turn that off immediately when I played Breath of the Wild. I turned all the annoying stuff off. Just give me the basic interface. That's all I need.
That new Monster Master class, I've got 2 ideas what I'd like it to be. One, I'd like to be able to use them to recruit monsters in some sort of casino battle arena, because the 3 casino had a battle arena that kind of sucked back in the day. You could build on it, but God, I don't think I ever won more than 2 in a row. That was not where to make money. Yeah.
That's about right.
Listen, we've already got 10 classes in this game. We don't need monster party members. I don't see them doing that anyway for this.
And you don't want to run out of game before you can build up the class,
Yeah. So we got this Monster Master class. So hopefully there's a use for it. Casino. Or, hey, if we're going to have those goddamn coins again, maybe the Monster Master can help you get a coin in battle. Take it around, get the coin for the monster. Maybe he's got a skill that can do it or something. Or
like a guaranteed drop.
Yes. I was going to say, I don't want RNG on this shit. Again, I'm closer to 50 than 40. I ain't going to be going around collecting however many 100 monster medals there are, let alone silver and gold ones. So don't need that. Don't need party members. Side quests, and do something interesting with the Monster Master class. You can't make a Monster Master class without having something for it to do.
Yeah.
Don't just make it, hey, it's a guy that can use whips as their main
probably what it's going to be.
Like that
would be disappointing.
Yeah, I know. I'm like it's just going to be somebody else with some different skills. I don't think we ever mentioned it before, but they are splitting skills and spells in this.
That's right.
Up.
You can see that in the
from
menu.
6 onward. Yep.
I'm glad to hear that, because hopefully now this means that your warriors and your martial artists aren't only using physical attacks, and that's their only means of offense.
Yeah,
they can at least have some skills to help, with knuckle sandwich or the different slash attacks or something.
Yeah, I think someone had mentioned that they had thought that they had seen that those classes actually have MP now, and I don't know if that's from a class change, because you can get some MP from being a previous class that had MP, but maybe they have MP now to do the abilities.
Oh yeah.
If I were getting footage for like trailers and promo videos and stuff, I would just use the debug and give just people just like random stats and everything just to mess with speculators like us.
Yangus, we forgot to hear from you. What do you want to see?
Well, I already kind of talked about one of the things I want to see. I want to see an easier grinding progression with going for any post-game content. Biggest one I want to see, well, we kind of talked about that one too with the TNT boards, hopefully making a comeback. For stuff that we haven't mentioned, I personally hope with the new content, like the new story stuff, that it's more so optional rather than what Dragon Quest XI-S did, where it's like you have to, it's mandatory, you have to do this when you start Act 2. I would rather that stuff be optional content, so I don't feel like as the player, I'm not being forced into experiencing the new content. I would rather that be something that I can tackle at my own pace. So that's one of my biggest hopes with that, is that the new stuff can be stuff that I can, go and do whenever I feel like going to do it. Of course, I'm very curious to see what sort of new secrets and areas there will be, all across the world map. Seeing the other details that are going to be in the game, and just really, I'm curious to see, what is this HD 2D take going to be like, since it's a remake. With the Live Alive one, the studio did a really good job bringing that game to modern consoles for either a new audience or a returning audience. So I'm definitely curious to see, how is Dragon Quest III's remake going to stack up? And especially since this is one that I have played multiple times across the different versions, it's definitely something that I'm sure you guys are all the same way too. I'm very curious to see, what's it going to be like? Is it going to meet like the expectations I have in my brain now? Is it going to be a little different? Is there going to be surprises in there that make me go, oh, that's really cool? But I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head at the moment. But you guys pretty much covered anything else that I probably would have said. I definitely hope, though, just because I thought of this one now, that if you decide you want to take a goof off or a jester, a gadabout, whatever they're going to call it in this, this translation, that there is hopefully a way to use some of their antics without it just randomly happening. Like put some of them in like their abilities list, or like still have it where they maybe out now and then they'll do something out of the random. But if you're going to do like an item, like you want them to use it like a medical herb for somebody, please let them just use the medical herb. Don't let them like just like throw some dice instead, and then your poor mage is on death's door and dies in the next hit. Not that I'm speaking from experience, but But yeah, you guys pretty much covered everything else that I would have said. So
if they round it out more like Minstrel and 9, have a couple of things like pratfall and like Chiron and all that would make it actually a useful class.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only use for the class is just to get a sage quicker and have fun with a random crap.
And you get a crappy sage.
I've enjoyed using them when I've played the game, but sometimes it's like, it's kind of like the Torneco thing where it's like, I love you, buddy, but sometimes I really wish you would just do what I told you to do, please.
Yep. Back into the wagon with you.
Give us a little bit of control to try and stop that.
Understandable. Drippy, what are you hoping to see?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have covered a lot, and I couldn't really think of a lot of things, but one specific thing I think that could be really cool is the Merchant Town, and kind of seeing an expanded system for that. Basically, like you can walk when you get to a certain point in the game. You can just basically walk in and out and in and out, and it just kind of like expands and stuff like that. But like, let us do something with that. I mean, like obviously it's named after what you name the merchant or whatever, but like let us actually have a name for it instead of like Evil Bastard Town. That's what I always have it as. And like, just give us something to do there, like maybe like a home base or whatever, or something like that. I think it would be really cool to see like a town building customization thing.
Yeah, think about that.
That makes sense. Hey, Dwaine, what are you hoping to see?
Well, I mean, as always, the quality feat content for an affordable monthly fee. The search continues.
You and your feet.
But anyway, as we mentioned before, they also revealed that Dragon Quest 1 and 2 is being developed with a 2025 release date. And the hopes for this, I'm hoping they build out Dragon Quest 1 similar to what Nightfly did with Dragon Quest Plus. I got to sit down and play that recently, and he really did a great job with adding more life to that world. It felt very natural, didn't feel like fan fiction or anything like that, and that's partly due to his own creativity. And the game lends itself and makes it so easy to take a forgettable part of the world map and really turn it into something cool. A big part of Dragon Quest 1 was exploring this giant chunk of land by yourself, and recently they have tilted Dragon Quest 1 to the easy side. 1 and 2 for both Super Famicom and Game Boy Color can be beaten pretty quickly. The mobile version is just, you can blow through that in a couple hours. So I would like something that would give players time to get lost in the world like we did when we were kids. Dragon Quest 2 seems to hold a special place with a lot of Japanese these fans, and I'm a big fan of 2 as well. It's one of my favorites. I share a lot of the same sentiments with 1, but I don't want them to cave to all the little complaints that people have had about 2. You know what, everybody? Let the Cave Tyrone be hard. Get good, all right? Because that way, when you come out on the other side, you're ready for all the giant monsters that are just going to club the crap out of you in Hargon's castle and all that. So the cave Tyrone is meant to prepare you for the really hard stuff. Don't nerf it.
Well, they'll probably do the 3 difficulty levels like they're doing with 3. So they'll probably have the Draki and the Dragon Quest and the Draconian modes. So
they need to name the hard mode for 2 Roan mode.
Okay. No, wait a minute. I'm going back. There is only 1 mode for 2, and it's Draconian mode. And they go back to how Hori originally programmed it, where it was an absolute nightmare, and the playtesters couldn't finish it. That's what I want.
That's Roan mode. That's what Roan mode's gonna be.
That's what I want.
Or what's it called now? They call it the new translation is like the Cave to Renderak or something like that.
Yeah. It's always gonna be Roan.
Yeah, and that.
in my heart,
means,
yes, in my heart, definitely.
That means something, but I can't recall it off the top of my head.
Well, I don't know what your problems with the Cave to Roan was. My version of Dragon Warrior 2 came with a map. I went straight through it, no problem. Easy peasy. Everybody's getting lost. I'm like, I got the map right here. Whatever. But
map right here.
Aside from that, Dragon Quest 1, I want it not to be a solo adventure. I want them to pad the hell out of that game, just like Dwaine, you were talking about, because Nightfly, amazing work with Dragon Quest Plus. If you haven't played that, get that on your PC, listen to our Slime Time episode about it. Nightfly did a great game. Hopefully you can meet up with someone in the game. Fun game.
Really quick, going back to that, one of the things that I love about that is that he gives the hero a home, and that's great because it grounds him in that world. He just doesn't show up out of nowhere, doesn't have a hometown or anything like that. It's just a nice little touch. And granted, I think that should be a free in, but that's just me. But yeah, it's just little things like that it feels like natural. Like this was something that was meant to be in the game the whole time.
Yep. I don't want it to be a solo adventure, like I said. Recruit a monster like Keeley did with Ragnar the whole time, or better yet, make it like the Torneko chapter where you could just hire some extra members. Or, hey, maybe with the whole world hanging in the balance, maybe the king should send more than one effing soldier out there to do this whole shit alone. Just throwing that out there. It doesn't have to have a whole 4-member party system. I think that'd be a little bit much. You'd have to really do a hell of a lot of work for that game. But, have somebody else to go with you. For Dragon Quest 2, same thing. Throw an extra cousin in there. Why not? Somebody's got to be around. There's supposed to be a lot of descendants going down the line. That I want a 4-member system, because then people can stop bitching about the Prince of Canik. All those losers that can't play the game well and think that he dies so well. So, he's fine. If he's dying all the time, that's your problem.
That's right.
Not his. Yep. I mean, that guy, he could equip like everything in that game. I think I said this a couple different times over different Slime Time podcasts. He was the original paladin of the Dragon Quest system. He was awesome. And again, one more thing I want, not just because Yangus and I host this all the time, I want side quests. Give me side quests. What numbered side quests to do? Somebody's cat went up a tree. Let me go find it somewhere in the world, in the 2D HD world, even if I have to kill 10 slimes with only using a cypress stick.
I would kind of like it Alfgard in 2 to be at the same scale that it was.
That'd be amazing. Yes. Yeah, it was so pared down in that second game. Maybe the extra cousin lives there.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not the pervy king, that extra side quest in the MSX version.
Oh wait, you know what? We had a couple people on the Dragon's Den Discord that had ideas for this, right? Somebody, Dwaine, I believe it's one of your favorite friends, suggested perhaps that it's the Dragon Lord's grandson that joins you. Why not?
That would be a terrible idea.
He's a happy,
I'm just kidding. That'll be fine.
He's a happy person now. And what did Jay say? Jay said one of Rami is a party member, right?
Oh yeah, we were talking about Ramia. Like if Ramia would be her extra.
My name is Ramia. Like a doctor.
Just like a giant bird follows you, just breathes fire and burns everything in your path.
Wearing a cloak. Nobody can tell.
Just happen as a guy named like Ray M. Ray Mia.
That's what I'm saying. It's Ray M. Yeah.
Like Dr. Agon.
Exactly. Yes. That's what I said. Yeah, it's like Dr. Agon.
There you go. No explanation.
You got to fight him to recruit him, and when you get him, he sucks.
But he's got a feather coat, like all
Yeah.
feathers, and you're like, wow,
It's
that's
just
a very
giant chicken following you around. It's just wearing a
There we
very
go.
poorly disguised a hood over its head that no one's going to be able to tell what it is.
Or
Gentlemen, I
it's,
think
So,
we have fixed Dragon Quest.
it's like a chicken boo from Animaniacs. It's perfect.
Yeah.
you could just recruit Ramia early in Dragon Quest 1 and fly over that little creek and then just go after the
go
Dragon
fight
Lord
the
right,
Dragon Lord
right
at
away.
level 1.
I got a bamboo stick. I'm coming for you.
Just the Dragon Lord's like, what are you doing here? It's so weak.
Drippy, what are you hoping to see in 1 and 2?
Yeah, so kind of I like the idea of like I also played Dragon Quest Plus earlier this year, and everything, the things that were added, the areas and stuff like that, it just felt like they fit. So I feel like they could come up with some new scenarios, areas, and something like that. I mean, I like 1 for its simplicity. You can get through it pretty quickly, but some extra content and areas, that'd be pretty cool to see. And I'm old. I have the memory span of a goldfish, so just give me a journal that like hints towards the next destination. I mean, I know that they talk about map markers and everything like that, so that's probably going to be there, but give me some way to track my adventure and stuff like that. I know to like get the fairy flute early and stuff like that. Just a little bit of guidance and stuff like that. For Dragon Quest 2, it's been years. Like I think I said earlier, just I really don't remember much. So maybe a training montage for Canuck, just to buff him up and make him more useful.
He's, the original, he was frustrating, but all the other remakes since then, they gave him more armor he could equip and different spells, and I think they gave it a different. And now both cousins can do revive in the remakes, whereas as opposed to the original, where only one could do revive. So he's not that bad in the remake. So he'll probably be fine. She'll be fine.
Way before the direct, I just kind of fell down a YouTube rabbit hole a little bit. I watch YouTube when I'm eating breakfast or dinner. So that's my TV watching time. But I was watching these kind of like random video essays on Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest 1, and like everyone was saying that like, well, it's such a simple and basic game. And like, in a way, yes, but when you go back and play it, it's a very tight game. It's just like all the beats, A, B, C, D, E, doesn't feel disjointed. Like you go play games like Legacy of the Wizard, which is really fun. I even beat it way back when, but it's very scatterbrained, very random. So like there's nothing bad about simplicity sometimes, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with you. Yangus, what are you hoping to see in these 2 games?
Well, I'm going to go against the grain. I would personally like to see 1 still be a solo adventure and you exploring like this now greatly expanded land of Alefgard. Maybe now that we're going to be getting, that we know we're getting the HD 2D version, maybe get to show a little bit more of like how things have changed since, Zoma was in control. Or maybe have a little thing where it's like there's remnants of Zoma's previous reign. And even though, years later people are like, oh, we don't know who this mysterious creature is, but he seemed to be very powerful and evil. And then maybe have that be like, oh, you beat the game. Now there's a new challenge you can go take on if you want to. And then it ends up leading you like a fight with Zoma or something. Like he's trying to revive himself, but you stop him. Something like that. It'd be nice if they have quest markers and stuff too for people who are like, oh, I can't remember. I personally like how Dragon Quest 1 is. I know everybody hates this comparison, but it's kind of Dark Souls like a little bit, where you have this big open world to go and explore. You kind of have to put the hints together from the context clues that the NPCs and stuff give you. But for the sake of convenience for people that don't want to deal with that and they're not masochists like I am, have a thing in there for people to have like the little like markers to be like, hey, here's where you can go to do sir. Here's that. But I would personally like to still see it be a solo adventure, because even though there's other Dragon Quest games, there's people that do challenges where you beat the game solo. There's not really a game since 1 that is strictly a solo adventure. It'd be cool though if like what Platty said, where maybe you have like a monster companion who can join you, or like maybe you can have like 2 of them or something. But I would rather see it be stay smaller, just so that way it doesn't like crazily change the balance of the game. Because even though it's a one-on-one fights for the whole game, like anytime that I played 1, it feels like you're mostly on equal footing with some of the monsters. There's parts where you don't want to go to yet because it's going to be a little more dangerous, but you feel like though the remakes have made it easier, that there's a good sense of progression with yourself and against the monsters that you fight. So I don't know, I feel like party members would maybe throw off that balance a little bit unless they really tweaked things around. And if difficulty options are becoming the norm now with the 3 things again, maybe there's ways that they'll work around. But that's just my take on that one. As for 2, it'd be cool to see some more story stuff, because I really feel like Midenhall, Cannock, and Moonbrook are really like the only 3 kingdoms that really seem to have a connection with the Erdrick line. So it'd be cool if the other kingdoms that are around the world, because like even the backstory talks about how they went around the hero of one and the princess, how they established all these kingdoms. It'd be cool to see more of that connection in 2, so we could get more of like, oh, okay, so this part of the family, maybe this part is a little more distant, so there's not really much contact with them. Difficulty wise, it would be cool if it was a little more of a challenge, because even when playing like the remakes on like the Switch for 2, it sometimes is like, okay, this doesn't seem all that tough. But I wouldn't want it to be like that when you get to Roan, that stay difficult. That still should be like the kick you in the teeth. But maybe up to that, maybe just have more of a gradual progression for that. But and it'd be cool to see more of Hargon's influence in the world.
Oh,
too.
Absolutely.
Like I've said this before, both I think on a podcast and just on a text. One of my favorite pieces of art for Dragon Quest is the cover art for the Famicom release of Dragon Quest II, where you got 3 heroes. They're like in front of the castle. You got Hargon up to the left, and Malroth is like faded off in the distance. I think that's a really cool piece, and I love how it gives the impression that Hargon is like this this large imposing force, and there's this cult of Hargon that's trying to help bring about the resurrection of Malroth. It'd be really cool to see more of that in the game versus just the opening cutscene that they added, where like Moonbrook is attacked, or you have the town where you get the boat, where those gremlins are attacking the old man who owns the boat that he then gives to you. It'd be cool to see
and the random
more of
clowns
that,
and mages that you fight too.
Yeah, like the one that's locked up in the jail cell in like Alfgard's base, something like that. I think
I would love that, because Hargon's my favorite Dragon Quest boss. So
oh yeah, I love his design, and he looks so cool on that cover too. Like for a long time I had that as one of my old with my old cell phone. Like that was my background on that phone for years, because it was so cool. But
like he's not as much of a looming presence as the Dragon Lord is.
So it'd be cool to see him get more of a I don't think he has to like keep appearing in the story or something like that, but just have his forces have more of a presence throughout the world, rather than just like these weird little sporadic spots. Like have a town where there's like cultists roaming around or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love that.
But last thing that I will say about 2 that I'd love to see, have an optional recruit of the Dragon Lord's grandson. That'd be hilarious. like maybe you have to do some crazy roundabout thing, but that'd be fun having him join up with you, just because then it'd be
maybe
like
a side quest.
Yeah, there you go. Hell, you know what? Make it like you have to go around and like you find remnants of his grandfather like scattered around like Alfgard, and it's like, oh, thank you for bringing these to me. You know what? You were kind enough to do this, so I'm going to help you out. Something like that. I don't know.
Or why he even has a grandson.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that. That's left ambiguous. That one.
But it's also it's implied. It's implied in 3 that the Dragon Queen is the Dragon Lord's mom, because the egg that she lays. So maybe they'll round out that story some way.
I like to just imagine that the Dragon Lord is Maleficent's son from the Disney movie, because they got very similar styles.
I always like the Dragon Lord's design, but he's been a very hard character for me to draw, is because I want to put some sort of structure in him. Caesar way back when did the best like long and slender version of the Dragon Lord. So I can't touch that. So do I make him like squatty? Like do I make him like is he wearing like something, or is that his actual horns? I always try and figure out something to do with him.
Oh yeah, I love his little pudgy self. It's great. I have a little figure of him. One of the few Dragon Quest pieces of merch that I have is a little plastic figure of the Dragon Lord and just his little human form where he's sticking his arm out. It's great. I love it.
And you can tell some of the modern designers don't know what to do with them either, because in builders especially, everyone just kind of has a little updated design, and he's still the same like really quick drawing from 1986.
It's great.
He does stand
out.
out.
I'm so glad. They just like, you know what? He's fine. Just leave him as is. I do not complain about that one bit. I love that one.
Which is funny, because Toriyama himself has done a couple updated designs of him, but it's always been like kind of like a background.
Yeah, there's one design for him. I know it appeared in oh goodness, what's that game? Fortune Street, and it was also used in that Dragon Quest Battle Road game, but the one like the cards.
Oh yeah, where he's
it's like
Hargon 2. Yeah,
it's like this weird like overly human looking design. I don't care for that one, to be honest.
Yeah, Me neither.
It's in Fortune Street, and I remember when I unlocked that, I was just like, oh,
Yeah, I don't like buff Hargon either. Just he's supposed to be this skinny little guy wearing a carpet.
Yeah, it's a little dopey looking fella. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great too, because but yeah, like I didn't hate it, but I'm like, oh no, I definitely prefer his little cartoony look, because it kind of gives you the impression like this is who we were fighting the whole time. Like he's not that scary, and then that's when he transforms into his dragon form, and you're like, holy crap!
So please spoil this for me. Is Hargon in Builders 2, or is it just Malroth?
I don't know. I have not played Builders 2 yet.
Hargon's there.
Oh, he is cool. Nice.
I mean, the whole game is battling the the cult of Hargon or something like that.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Good to know.
So maybe
I'll play it one day.
You know what, Pendy, did you play Builders 2 all the way to the end?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, okay, no spoilers on that one, please.
He's there. That's all. We're gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
So I would say for 1 and 2 for me, if you guys remember the little animated intro that they did for Dragon Quest 1 for the Game Boy Color, I would love to see that realized in this version as well. That'd be fun to see. That was a fun little thing that they did particularly for that version of the game. For Dragon Quest 2, I would love to see party chat, because that would be something that could open up the personalities for Prince of Cana and the princess. That would be terrific. I would love to see party chat, because I'm always a big sucker for party chat for all the different Dragon Quest games, and that's something that helped immensely with Dragon Quest 4 with the version that we actually got that had it. Still bitter over that. Sorry.
As
the
someone
personalities for that game.
As someone who has localized a Dragon Quest game for fun, please read that party chat.
Please clap.
No, it's great.
Because
I love party chat. I'm one of those guys that does it as much as you can.
Because for 5, there were 18 like little kind of blocks of text. The first and about a quarter of the second one was the game text. Everything else was party chat. The translators and localizers work very hard on that. Please read it.
Well, yeah, of course you're referencing the fan translation for Dragon Quest 5 PlayStation 2, which you were a part of, which is fantastic.
Yes.
But yes, yeah, party chat for 2, that'd be great. And Yangus, you touched on this a little bit as well, but I would love for both games to have some kind of post-game area and post-game boss, because those are the only 2 games now that don't have that of the mainline Dragon Quest series. So it would be great to see what they could come up with for post-game areas for these 2 games. Mm-hmm. Now, I do have a follow-up question to Yangus and to Platty. How do you think Dragon Quest 3 looks compared to previous games that have used this graphical style, such as Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, Live Alive, Triangle Strategy, and even, I think, Star Ocean 2?
Sorry not to do an actually, but Star Ocean 2 actually is not an HD 2D game.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I blame Platty for writing that in my question.
Didn't they kind of go like halfway there?
So they did do, it's a full remake, but what they did is that because I'm playing it right now. What they did, they reused sprites from the original PS1 release of the game, but touched up a bit, / basing it off of what they did for the PSP version that we never got of the game. But for as far as like the environments and worlds and stuff, it's completely 3D. It's not like a pixelated 3D world. It's like fully rendered 3D. Like you have the characters, as they're still sprite selves, but it's not like the other HD 2D games where it's like a static camera. Like you have a movable camera in the worlds and environments and stuff. So, I mean, I guess technically it kind of is an HD 2D game, but not in like
maybe it's HD 3D.
Yeah, but basically it's HD 3D.
Bring it back to what Pendy started off with.
Yeah, minus the character models, it's basically HD 3D.
We'll just call it Star Golf 2 3D HD.
Yeah, there we go. But as far as my impressions have been, I kind of talked about them earlier. I really like how with this game versus the first thing I noticed was how the character moves are. So if you play any of the other HD 2D games, a lot of the characters have very smooth like animations as they're walking, like especially like I'm going to use Live Alive as the main example. So that's a remake, of another classic RPG from Square / Enix, whatever. The character like designs and movements are very smooth versus when watching the Dragon Quest 3 one, they're a little more not choppy, but they're much more like like 1 2 3 1 2 3 with how they move. And I almost feel like that's a deliberate choice to kind of replicate how some of the past Dragon Quest games have been. Like if you look at Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 on the DS, all the characters have their basic like standing where they're just like arms to the side, legs down. But then they only really have 3 frames of animation where like standing, they move their one leg forward, one arm forward. When they're walking, the other one switches back and forth. So I almost feel like they're purposely doing that to replicate that style because a lot of people they see it Dragon Quest, or like how the PS1 characters animate on Dragon Quest 7, for instance, kind of like that. Now the monsters have very good animations, very smooth and fluid. Some that as Dwaine kind of mentioned, like maybe there's some cut frames, but it very much looks like they're taking what they've learned from doing their other HD 2D games and really ramping up, especially with the monster movements and how they animate in the battles. Because like one of the things that I loved about Octopath 2 was seeing how all of these monsters and bosses that you fought, how they animated when they attacked and stuff. Because there were quite a few bosses where they might have only used one of their attacks like once in a fight, but like pretty much every attack had a unique animation. And from what little we've seen of Dragon Quest 3's HD 2D remake, I mean, you have animations for when the monsters have attacked. You have animations for when like Robin Hood / Kandar, where he gets hit and he actually has like an animation where he like kind of leans back a little bit like, oh, he got hit. I haven't seen that before, so that's really cool. And again, like how the world is looking right now, because one of the big things that I noticed with Live Alive's remake was they stayed pretty true to the design, like the original designs, from like comparing it to like the Super Famicom version, but they did a lot of detail, like extra details to it, like even just little things where they added like these blinking lights, or they changed the layout just a smidge. And from what we've seen of this, but they stayed true to the original look and feel. And seeing the remake, it's like Romali, where they show like it has this big, now like these big like 2 winding staircases that lead up to the castle, this big fountain, like all of these extra details that really give the world a brand new fresh coat of paint, and remaking it and like rebuilding it entirely without it just being like, oh yeah, we just looked at the original like map layout and just basically went like kind of took like the air pump and just started going popped everything up so it's now 3D. Like they redesigned stuff, and I think that's great because it shows that they're definitely putting a lot of love and care into the project. So coming from my own standpoint, having played the other two HD 2D games, it really seems like they're continuing to push what they can do while also still trying to respect some of the things that have made Dragon Quest, like the traditional RPG series that it is. So definitely curious to see what the full product's going to look like, and what else we're going to, what they haven't shown us. But
and
anyway, Platty.
I'm sorry to cut you off. What's the name of the company that does those games? It's like Team Asano or something?
Yes. So Team Asano are the main developers for it. It comes from the name of, I forget his full name, but from Asano, who's the man who originally directed games like Bravely Default and some of those others. And now they're the team that like is kind of the primary focus for like this particular branch of Square Enix. So like I noticed this the other day, but like the artwork is done by Naoki, I'm going to probably say his last name wrong, Ikushima, I believe is how you say it. And
I was going to ask you about that too, yeah.
Yeah, if you see his artwork for a Square Enix game, it's a very good chance that Team Asano is responsible for that game, because it took me like another day or so to realize that was his art. But when I eventually saw it again with the promo art for 3 and 1 and 2, looking at it, I'm like, oh, this has a lot of the same details that Mr. Naoki puts into his artwork and stuff, because it really reminded me a lot of like his character stills for the characters of Octopath 1, or like some of his stuff that he did for Bravely Default 2, where like you get to see like the job class stuff and how some of them are like have some obscured figures or obscured features, but you get to see like you take a look and you're like, okay, I know what class that this is. And that's the exact impression that I got. Like he definitely nailed Toriyama's art style, but still had his own little flair thrown in there for what little we've seen. So that was super cool.
Nice.
I'm very excited with these remakes.
Yeah, one day maybe we can have an episode dedicated to my thoughts on Bravely Default. I have things to say about that game.
And that's Agnes is someone that drove you crazy.
Yes, I have never hated a video game character more than her.
Aww.
Unacceptable.
She turned me against her, and I actively rooted for her to fail. I rooted for the protagonist to fail.
Unacceptable.
Okay.
Artwork's great, though. Artwork's fantastic.
Did you have anything to say on that too, Platty?
This would be like
Default, but...
me commenting on going to an anime con after you explained it. I think we'll just leave it with what Yangus said.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to like take everything if you had something to say.
Oh, no, trust, I did not have. I was going to say, you know what? It looks good just like them. There we go. There's my comment.
So before we close out this episode, I thought it would be a great idea with the cast of characters that we have on this recording to do Merry Thwack Puff Puff. And for this Merry Thwack Puff Puff, it has been a little while. And for this one, we are going to do the female jester, the female sage, and the female warrior. for reasons.
Really glad you didn't say the female hero.
No.
Yangus, you missed that pre-show.
Oh no!
Happy 16th birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why we.
No,
that's why
it's
we
terrible.
That'd be a horrible idea.
No, we don't. We don't need
Red
to
alert.
repeat that scene from Transformers 5. No.
Oh, I have that to look forward to in about a week.
No, you don't. Please don't watch Transformers 5. Just watch the first one
man.
and Bumblebee. You're good.
But
I
anyway,
got out a half-second one by coming here tonight.
Oh Lord.
well, good.
Yeah, thanks a lot for
The
having.
worst one. Perfect. But I would say for myself, I would go. I'm gonna say. I would probably say let's go with Puff with the female jester, and then I would marry the female sage, and then the female warrior. I don't want to, but I would have to thwack her. I would definitely want to take advantage of the sage and all the abilities that she has, offensive and defensive. But warrior's got to go, unfortunately. What about you, Platty?
All right, I'm gonna thwack that jester. She just looks like a rotten drunk. Nope, just.
Yeah.
There's that one character art where she's got the bottle. Nope, drunk. Marry the sage. I agree with you. So I'll flip flop with your jester and warrior and do the Puff warrior. Drippy.
Yeah, let's see. So I'm going to marry the sage. You know, she really worked for her goals and, you know, just bettering herself, you know, getting to that top tier class. So, you know, good for her. I'm going to thwack the warrior where I found I'm finding something, you know, about muscular women and stuff like that. In this case, I just can't do it. And then Puff, you know, the female jester with the bunny suit, you know, it's just tradition. And as they say in Letterkenny, you don't fuck with tradition.
Well, actually, sounds like you want to.
Yangus, what about you?
Okay, poof the bunny girl, because it just makes me, well, hopefully not the Dragon Quest VIII version where it just turns out it's slimes, but I would probably marry the female warrior. Actually, she's one of my favorite designs. I like the long flowing purple hair she has. I'm not afraid of a bigger, stronger woman.
There you go.
She can, you know, if there's a training regimen that we got to do, then hey, whatever, I'll do what we, you know, whatever. I like that look. I like her. So fortunately, gonna kill the sage. I mean, no offense, but it takes too long to level you up. So goodbye.
Yeah, and she can bring herself back anyway.
This is true. She knows how to. She knows zing and cuzzing. So it's all good. She'll be fine. She'll find somebody.
Well, to bring herself back, she would have had to cast pre-zing.
Well, don't worry. She'll bounce back because she'll use bounce to reflect thwack back at me.
All right.
Nice. What about you, Dwaine?
Well, I'm gonna echo a lot of everyone's thoughts here by marrying the sage, but unfortunately, it's gonna be kind of like a Madeline Pryor type of situation because I really want the wizard, but I would say a Puff the warrior because she can crush me with those thighs, and again thwack the jester. Be gone, thought. Useless.
Be gone, thought.
Alrighty. Well, with that,
as the great
that's
rapper Ludacris
right?
said, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Hoes don't act right. It's hoes on a mission and it's hoes on the crack pipe.
One thing that I do know,
Well,
bitches, they come, they go.
Very cool.
And with those sage thoughts, I think that's it for this episode of Slime Time. Thank you all for coming here to talk about Dragon Quest 1 HD, or 1, 2, mainly 3, HD,
That
2D,
game.
that game, those games, whatever.
Game.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No
Yes, thank
problem.
you.
Always fun to be here.
We're a non-profit podcast. We won't overcharge you with a special edition for your hard-earned gold when we can offer you quality content for free. But if you do have some extra cash and you'd like to donate anything to a website that's been supporting Dragon Quest fans for over 25 years, slide on over to the Dragon's Den by clicking the link in the show notes. There are several ways to support the Den, including the affiliate links that don't cost you anything extra when making other Dragon Quest purchases, including going to Amazon and pre-ordering Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. Oh my god, I said it right that time.
Yeah, we have a new game to actually promote. Yes.
And we even have a Slime Time t-shirt that was designed by our resident artist, me. And see the link for it in the show notes. And also, if you want a shirt with the new piece of artwork for the All Trades Abbey, I'm sure they can hook that up too.
So for any comments or questions, you find us on Twitter and Instagram at DQ Slime Time.
Join in tons of Dragon Quest discussion at the Dragon's Den forums or Discord and the Dragon Questers Facebook group.
Please like, subscribe, and and write a review for the podcast.
Dragon Quest Slime Time, sliming off.
Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very
cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Very
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very
Very
cool.
cool.
Very
Very
cool.
cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
This is Gertrude for Slime Time, reminding you all that you must complete your adventure.